Welcome to the DesignRush Podcast. I'm your host, Bianca Mayer, and today we're diving in with Anthony Shop, co-founder and the brains behind Social Driver. They're rewriting the agency playbook, landing Fortune 100s and keeping them. And here's how they're doing it.
People out there on a journey. They're looking for a solution to a problem. How do you intercept them and provide them with what they need? Well, if they're searching on Google, you want to show up there. You can do that through paid, but you can also do that through earned. If they rethink their marketing through the three dimensions, attention, intention, and mention, it's much easier for them to come up with strategies that are going to help them move things forward because it all comes down to people.
Social Driver doesn't just use data, they make it work overtime. When AI-driven campaigns rake in 40% more revenue, you know they're onto something.
Innovation is all about taking those new ideas, but then building a business plan around them that's scalable. Anything that we look back on that was, innovative at the time but hasn't lasted, we would call that a fad. And so we want to make sure that it's integrated into our business.
Here's the deal, pivot or die. Social Driver keeps it agile, and the payoff, retainer contracts and happy clients sticking around.
We work on all different types of projects with all different types of clients. We launched the Driver Foundation. Thomas, our CEO, is elected chair of the board. When it comes to our clients, I think the fact that we have made social impact part of our mission as a company, we attract organizations that want to make a difference in the world.
Trust is the currency. Social Driver's all in on transparency and reputation, and it's paying off big time. If this has you hooked, like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay tuned for more. Got an exclusive story to share? Send it over to spotlight@designrush.com and let's make headlines together. Anthony, a very warm welcome to the DesignRush Podcast. How are you today?
I am great. Thanks so much for including me.
Of course, we're so happy to have you here. So first of all, Social Driver has come a really long way since you and Thomas, your husband, founded it after winning GW's new venture competition. So I wonder, what would you say are the most valuable lessons from that early journey that still really shape how you guys run the agency today?
Well, thanks, Bianca, for that question. I have to say, I'm a big fan of DesignRush. I think that one of the lessons I've learned is that it's so important, not just what you say about yourself, but also what other people say about you. And I think that having a platform like DesignRush where you can ask your customers what their experience has been and give them a platform to talk about that, that's really powerful because all of us are looking for trusted information like that. So thanks for creating a platform that allows us to do that. As you mentioned, we won the GW New Venture Competition about 13 years ago, I think it was. And a ton has changed since then. I mean, Webflow, which is a really wonderful web technology we use for a number of our clients, it didn't even exist yet. There are new social media channels like TikTok and even Instagram, I don't think was around back then. We've seen the rise of influencers. Obviously, artificial intelligence is something we're all familiar with now. So a ton has changed, but for me, I always think about what has stayed the same. And when we started Social Driver, we had this mantra. We said, the future is bright, all progress is social, and the drivers make history. And just to sort of unpack that, the future is bright. We are optimists. Even though there's a lot of bad stuff in the world, when you turn on the cable news, we want to really think about all the great things that are happening. And when we say all progress is social, we mean we can only get to that bright future together. If you're a company, your customers are part of your marketing like never before, because it's so easy to go search and see what they're saying about you or saying about companies that you're looking into. So we really have to work together. That progress is social is just something that's part of our DNA. And then lastly, the drivers make history. In a complex environment with so many changes, we really have to experiment. We have to be willing to put ourselves out there and be bold and try new things. If you just sit on the sidelines and take what we call a passenger mentality and say, well, let other people figure that out and then we'll catch up later, you'll never catch up because they're always going to be on to the next latest, greatest thing, and you're always going to be trying to catch up. So even though so much has changed in terms of, our services as we've grown and what's out there in the ecosystem, that mantra has stayed the same. And I think for us, it's our commitment to putting people at the center. We just have to do that. Even though there's so much great technology is here to serve people, to try to improve the world for all of us. And so we have to make sure we're putting people at the center of everything we do. And that means the mantra hasn't changed, the values haven't changed. And at the heart of it, it's all about people.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Now, just moving on a little bit now to some of your more recent achievements as well. Winning Webflow's Agency of the Year is like a major milestone that you guys were able to reach now in October. Am I correct? It was now in October as well.
Just
right?
happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it just happened. So that's incredible. Congratulations again for that. I'm just wondering, what steps did Social Driver take to really stand out during that, whole situation? And how has this recognition really impacted your approach to both client projects and your team culture now?
Well, thank you. We were so thrilled when Webflow named us their Agency of the Year. This is probably the fastest growing technology that many brands are looking to for their websites. It really gives the team superpowers, designers superpowers to create super efficient code and a really great user experience. And I'll tell you what, the journey of this started almost 10 years ago when we had somebody on our design team that came across Webflow and said, we should experiment with this. And so we started the experiment. I mean, nobody had heard of this technology at the time. It was just so new for our own website. And because of that experimentation, because we listened to a member of our team and said, hey, let's be, the drivers make history. Let's try something new. We had a solution in our back pocket, and we had a major Fortune 500 company come to us with a need. And they couldn't use one of the other technologies that we often used for some internal reasons. And so we were able to bring that to them. And over the years, we've brought Webflow technology to several Fortune 100 companies and shown them that it would be a great solution for what they're trying to accomplish. And along the way, Webflow has then brought us into some of the opportunities with large enterprises that they have too. And so, in many cases, Webflow was the perfect solution that clients were not even aware of. And that allowed us to become early adopters. And we really learned and we really pushed the limits of what the technology can do. I was talking to, our team about this, Thomas, our CEO, who you mentioned earlier. And Will, one of the things Thomas has said that I just like to repeat, because he's more of a technology expert to me, is that Webflow has been instrumental in helping us push creative boundaries and build the engaging web experiences that our clients are looking for. So, now because of this partnership, we can accelerate project timelines without sacrificing quality. We can empower our clients with more ownership over their digital presence. We can tackle complex business challenges with really tailored and innovative solutions. And for us, build stronger long-term relationships that are based on trust and results, which is really at the core of what we have to do at Social Driver to continue to, move toward our goals. So it's been a really incredible partnership. We are so honored that they selected us. And I can't tell you what it meant when I got a photo from one of our team members of her in Times Square, our head of creative services. She's there in Times Square. Behind her is this billboard that has the Social Driver logo on it, congratulating us for being their Agency of the Year. So pretty cool.
What did that feel like when you really had that picture of, your head of creative, I think you said it was, that was standing in Times Square with that billboard up there? I mean, what does that feel like as an agency owner?
Well, it feels, wonderful, of course, to get recognition. But that particular recognition, I think, just said so much about many of our team members who have worked so hard to bring that technology in, to deepen the partnership, and to bring great solutions to our clients. And so, it was a recognition for all of them. And, that is well-deserved. I think, Paige, our head of creative services, was the one in Times Square. And on Paige's team is our director of design, Casey, who's been with us also. Both of them have been with us for over a decade. Casey was one of our very first employees. And it was a member of Casey's team who brought Webflow to us, recommended it a long time ago. And, Casey really encouraged that. So it just shows, listen to the experts, listen to people who are innovative. And, you might experiment with a new technology that may not go as far, but that's okay. You have to try things to get to the good result. And when you're in the business of helping people, when you're in the business of becoming the trusted partner for your clients and helping your clients find the best possible solutions for them, You have to be open to new ideas. You can't just do what you've always done. There's a great book. The title is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And, it's a great book, but I mean, I think the title is like one of the best things about it, because when we hear that, we all know that that's true. Wherever we are today, we had to get here one way, but whatever's going to get us to the next step, we're going to have to try something new. What got us here won't get us there. And Webflow is a perfect example of that.
100%. And I think, this is where the word innovation has become sort of like a buzzword a little bit now. But honestly, it really does apply these days, especially, and I don't think it will ever stop applying, is where you really have to constantly stay agile, constantly stay in front of whatever new cutting edge technologies or platforms or software or whatever the case may be is, that will help you push not only your agency forward, but help you push your clients forward in whatever it is that they're doing, right? So that's, I think, the most important thing. And I commend you all for really sticking to that. It's incredible to see. A lot of people stagnate.
And let me just say on that, Bianca, with innovation, sometimes their mind goes to something that's new and fresh, and that's part of it. But when we think of any innovation that's really impacted our lives or impacted society, it's something that sticks and it persists, it lasts. And so part of innovation is you have to find those new ideas, but then you have to figure out, how do you implement them? How do you scale them? And that's one of the things that I'm so proud about, for our team. Somebody spotted the innovative new technology, but then other members of the team figured out, how do we make sure this is scalable? And that's not just from, one website. That's how can we make sure we build business processes so that this is going to be effective for multiple clients? How are we going to get contract vehicles so that they can have the right licensing agreement and we can be the services provider? So there's a lot that goes into it. And I think it's a good reminder that innovation is all about taking those new ideas, but then building a business plan around them that's scalable. Anything that we look back on that was, innovative at the time but hasn't lasted, we would call that a fad. And so we want to make sure that we go beyond that and we make sure that it's integrated into our business. And I can't take any credit for that. That's what our team has done in so many different areas. Webflow being the one that, is a lot. We're getting a lot of attention right now because we got that wonderful honor as Agency of the Year.
Exactly. No, absolutely. I think as an agency owner, you kind of just want to give yourself or your team a pat on the back and yourself for being like, wow, I'm super happy that I have hired people and put them in the position where they actually feel comfortable to even mention something like that. You've talked about, taking complex ideas and simplifying them to provide clarity. So can you say more about how you do that exactly?
Yeah, well, look, I think that we all know that the marketing landscape and the communications landscape, they're pretty complex right now. Things are evolving really quickly. There's a ton of different metrics that you can pull to try to show success and show results. And clients are just trying to figure out how to make sense of all of it. And so one of the things that we're really focused on, and this is just a natural outgrowth of putting people at the center, is translating that complexity into clarity for our clients. And I'll give you one example of how we do that when we're working with clients on marketing or communications campaign. Many of them are familiar with a traditional framework that was developed a long time ago called PESO, which stands for paid media, earned media, shared media, and owned media. And they might have built a plan around that in the past. But one of the things we find if we take a look at that is we'll find examples of campaigns that have checked all those boxes. In marketing, sometimes we have this check the box problem where it's like, okay, well, I did my press release, I ran my ad, I've built a microsite, I have a logo, check. And the campaign just doesn't get results. It doesn't work. Yeah. And when we take a step back, we say, well, what's missing? And it's often people. We've checked the box on all the channels, but we haven't really thought about what is going to resonate with people. What do our people want and what do our people need? And so one of the things we've done at Social Drivers, we said, let's take a look at all these tactics, but why don't we reorganize them with people at the center? And we came up with what we call the 3 dimensions, which are attention, intention, and mention. So this idea is look, one way we can get our message out to people is to get their attention in this very crowded, noisy world. How do I get the right message to the right people at the right time? Sort of push that information out. That might be something as broad as buying an ad that reaches millions of people, or it might be something as narrow as targeting or retargeting a small group, or Maybe instead of an email newsletter, we customize a mail merge to a small number of people so that it's highly relevant to them. So that's the idea of attention, which most of us are familiar with in marketing. Then the second, we talk about intention. Okay, there are people out there on a journey. They're looking for a solution to a problem. They are asking a question and they need an answer. How do you intercept them and provide them with what they need? Well, if they're searching on Google, you want to show up there. And there are different ways you can do that, right? You can do that through paid, but you can also do that through earned. They might be looking on YouTube or TikTok, other places as well, Reddit. How do we know where those people are looking for information? And then how do we intercept them and give them what they need? And often this is a neglected and underutilized area of marketing that some of our clients have to pay attention to. And I have to say, DesignRush, obviously, what you do is you have folks who are out in the world, and they might be looking for top agencies in a certain area, and they may not know the name of that agency. Maybe they didn't even know the name of DesignRush until they went to Google, and you gave them the answer, right? So that's a perfect example of intention. And then the third is what we call mention. This is the idea that, hey, it's great to talk about ourselves, but you know what? It's really important for us to have other people say things about us because we're more likely to trust something from a verified source, an authorized, trusted messenger, or even somebody who just seems more like us. We're more likely to believe them. And so there are ways that we can really inspire people to do that and ask people to do that, encourage them. Again, DesignRush having a review feature, that's one of the ways that we can ask people to say things about us and we get that mention marketing. So, what I find is when I work with clients and they were using that peso model, they were checking the boxes, if they rethink their marketing through the three dimensions, attention, intention, and mention, it's much easier for them to put people at the center, and it's much easier for them to come up with strategies that are going to help them move things forward because it all comes down to people. It all comes down to reaching the right people, motivating them, persuading them, connecting with them, and ultimately helping them. And I really like how we can bring that simple 3-step framework to clients, and it really demystifies marketing for them. It really simplifies things and provides clarity during a complex time.
That's wonderful. Personalization and really putting people's needs and what they want really at the center of everything is, people say, oh, it's like a trend now, but honestly, it should have been like this all the time, right? And I think any good marketing in any case is surrounded or encapsulates everything that your target audience is looking for, right? Because otherwise, what the hell are you doing? Right. So I think putting it in this sort of like clear, really good like process that you guys have done at this point really makes it so much easier to do that in that sense. It's something that more people should be paying attention to for sure. And I think that clients should be looking at and be like, okay, is this agency actually going to be able to provide this for me, right? Do they know me? Do they know what my target audience wants? That kind of stuff. Okay, so from a technical perspective, I'm wondering what emerging trends or tools do you think that agencies should be prioritizing to stay, competitive going into 2025, particularly with Webflow or similar platforms?
Well, one of our values at Social Driver is ask questions, even if you think you already know the answer. And one of the things I find, obviously AI is a big buzzword. And it's a great, innovation. It's an incredible tool. It's been integrated in so many different tools that we already use. But AI is only as good as the questions that you ask. So it really comes down to understanding what the goals are and asking the right questions. And you ask a basic question, you're going to get a basic answer in return. But in my view, AI is sometimes a really powerful tool at helping people come up with better questions to ask so that they internally can take those to the next logical conclusion, or they can go back to their clients with those questions. As AI is integrated into more of the technology that we already use, it's really important that we keep in mind, there's bias that comes along with it. It's been trained by humans and on the data that we've created and we've already put out into the world. Our CEO, Thomas Sanchez, he presented at South by Southwest earlier this year on a panel about avoiding the next digital divide. And I'm really proud that we have a leader who's thinking, he's a software engineer by background, so he understands this stuff more than, anybody I know. And I'm really proud we have a leader who's thinking about this topic, not just how, it can help us to save time and help us to do things faster. Great. Those are all wonderful benefits, but also thinking about it from the standpoint of how can we make sure that we're using this to further humanity in a positive way? How can we understand the inherent biases that come along with technology like this and make sure that, we're using it responsibly, and that our clients understand that as well. And, this means that when we're building a website using Webflow, we're thinking about all the possibilities to use technology better, but we're thinking about how can that technology make the website more accessible so that we get a high accessibility score. I mean, that's going to be great for your search results, but it's also going to be great for all of your people, because we want to make sure that if they're using assistive technology, that website's going to work really well for them. So technology's great, but let's make sure that it's there to serve people, and let's make sure that we look at, both the positives and the negatives that come along with any technology that we're adopting.
So just one thing that I also want to ask as a follow-up, just going back to, the conversations we've had so far about really having a people-centered approach over at Social Driver. I'm wondering, how do you translate this into practical actions for both your team and your clients? Like, for instance, what has this approach really meant for Social Driver's growth?
Yeah. Let me tell you like a quick story here of something that happened to me being a customer. Excuse me. If we rewind back to the beginning of the pandemic, it's probably about the first week of April 2020, I got a call from Russian River Vineyards, which is a winery I had visited. Now, Bianca, I don't know if you've ever visited a winery in the States before, but something happens. About 3 months after you get home, a box of wine shows up, and you realize that when you're having a really good time wine tasting, you've signed up for a wine club, and now you're getting shipments to your home with all these bottles of wine, which you're happy to get, but you maybe kind of forgot that you did it. So several years before this, we went to Russian River Vineyards. We signed up for their wine club, and I'm getting a box of wine delivered to my office every quarter because it was an easier place to get it. So they call me in April of 2020, and they say, and I'm thinking, are they trying to sell me something right now? What's going on? And they say, hey, we just want to thank you for being a member of our wine club, and we want to send you a free bottle of wine. No strings attached. And I said, really? Like, that's awesome. And they said, oh, by the way, a lot of people aren't at the place where they were getting their wine delivered. We want to make sure we have the right address. And that was so smart because I was getting it sent to my office and I wasn't going into the office at that time. So I said, yeah, I'm not there right now. Okay, let's update the address. I said, well, by the way, if you're going to send me a free bottle of wine, obviously the shipping is covered. Can I add some more wine in there? And they said, absolutely. And they were so happy and grateful that I did that. But, we were like, this was wipe down your groceries time. So it was kind of nice to get something delivered straight to the house like that. And I said, well, wait a minute. They told me there was this promotion that I could have free shipping on any wine that I sent, even if it was a gift. So I said, well, wait a minute. We were thinking about sending something to our executive team and a bunch of our team members, their managers. And so I said, okay, let's send them each a bottle of wine because, the shipping usually costs about as much as the wine. So the free shipping deal was really great. And then over the year, we found some reasons to thank clients. We had our annual holiday gifts. And this was my go-to gift. Anytime anybody would do anything, I'd say, you want a nice free bottle of wine? And by the way, I'm getting free shipping. So this was kind of a win-win. So fast forward, I go out to visit Russian River Vineyards probably about 18 months later with Thomas. It's near where we have some family. And I had, by the way, been emailing with them at this point. I didn't even have to fill out a form on the website. I would send Debbie the address. Debbie would fulfill the order for me. They made it frictionless. And so I go out and visit them. They roll out the red carpet. They provide this big lunch for us. I mean, I couldn't believe how well they treated us. I said, Debbie, do you treat all your customers like this? And Debbie said, Anthony, you aren't just any customer. You are our number one customer. I was a little bit embarrassed. We had bought like over 500 bottles of wine, and obviously not all for us, but we'd sent them to our team. We'd sent them to our client. We used them as holiday gifts. I mean, we had been like, using this for everything, because they had made it so easy. But here was the wake-up call. When I was talking to her about how well the winery had been doing, because they had been thriving in the pandemic and others had not, she said, well, we don't know anything about marketing. And I thought to myself, I think you all are marketing geniuses. Because what did you do? At the very beginning of the pandemic, if they had gone to an ad agency, right, they would have tried to sell them ads. And if they'd gone to a website firm, they would have tried to sell them a new website. But they just said, hey, who are the people at the center of the bullseye for us? Who are the people who matter most to us at Russian River Vineyards? It's our clients, but it's especially our wine club members, right? They probably don't have that many wine club members. So they took time to do that personal outreach, to confirm the address, to send a free bottle of wine. And they deepened that loyalty. And look, the ROI on that bottle of wine they sent me was like 300,000%. I mean, they got a really good return on investment. In fact, even some of the people I sent the wine to liked it so much, they bought more or joined the wine club themselves. And so what you sometimes think of as, quote, marketing isn't actually what's most important. The most important thing to do at the very beginning is to put people at the center and ask, what can I do for them? What's authentic? What connects them back to my brand? And it played out really well. And that experience of doing that, putting people at the center, of listening and asking the right questions, and also creating a frictionless experience, it really informed advice that I brought to my clients during the pandemic when they were asking, well, what should we do and what should we invest in? Say, look, let's not focus too much on the channels and tactics right now. Let's go back to basics. Let's find out who your most important people are, how you can deepen that relationship in a way that's authentic to you, that makes sense for your brand. And then let's build off that and look at what tactics we have available. And so when I think about, long answer to your question about a people-centered approach, I want to go back to basics like that. And I want to make sure we start with listening. And what at Social Driver, we ask our employees about their experience and we learn from that. And our people team implements that. And they give us feedback across the company. We want to do that listening on the inside. Then we want to do that listening on the outside with the clients we already work with. Then we want to go out to people who we want to work with. And I think by listening and putting people at the center, it's the most important thing we can do. And unfortunately, today, we sometimes think that we can shortcut that we can just look at a data set and then move on and just execute some sort of programmatic campaign. And look, that can be a great tactic. But if we're missing the equation of people at the center, then I don't think we're ever going to see the success that we want.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the most ironic thing I find in saying, oh, we're trying to, find shortcuts and stuff, from what it sounds like, from what you've just said to me, I mean, that is brilliant, by the way. They really are marketing geniuses, like you said. But what I almost think is we're almost making it so much harder on ourselves as marketers because we're overthinking things when really the answer is so simple. Invest in your clients and do that with actually talking with them, giving them, yes, a little freebie or something like that to show your appreciation. Maybe not all businesses are in that position. Yes, small businesses especially, but there are ways, if you can identify those ways to make your clients feel as special as they are, let's be honest, it will come back to you 3,000-fold, like you've just also said, with that ROI coming back. And it's so simple. I really think marketers generally, especially I think, with all the noise of all these new things that are coming out and new ways and trends and all of these things that are fleeting, really, because you can only do one thing for so long until it starts getting old. Right. It's just so simple. And it doesn't even, you can even do that on a budget, basically. It's really amazing. I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, you're welcome. And you're absolutely right in your analysis there, Bianca, because I think one of the things that is so important for us to remember is even though we can reach such a broad audience in today's environment, we don't do ourselves a service and we don't do our clients a service if we think of the audience as being this generic, them out there. Really think about who are the individuals? Who are those people? They are real people. They have names, they have faces, they have lived experiences, they have families. And, if you're trying to add a few more clients rather than thinking about how to target, a segment, sometimes it's like, well, come up with the list of people and reach out to them. And I love that Russian River didn't just say, oh, how do we reach wine drinkers who want to order wine at home? They said, hey, we have a list of people. Let's go through our list of people. Let's call them. Let's have a conversation with them. Let's ask them what's going on. Oh, you want to send gifts to your team? Yeah, we'll extend that free shipping. They kept extending that to me for over a year until Debbie retired because, it was a win-win and it worked great for me. It worked great for them. And we were able to really deepen that relationship with them as a result of it.
Incredible. No, that's one of the best stories I've heard on the podcast so far. Really beautiful. Okay, so moving on a little bit now. High profile awards like for instance, Webflow Agency of the Year, and say, for instance, DesignRush's monthly recognitions, are on most agencies' radar, right? So I'm wondering, what sort of strategic moves should agencies be making to qualify for and win awards that really help to boost their credibility?
Yeah, I mean, it always is so cool when you get that recognition, right? Your team loves it and craves it because they know the great work they're doing and they want that validation, as we all do. But also it's great for your clients, right? Clients love working with a winning team, that they're part of the recognition. They love getting recognized for the projects that they collaborated on. What I've found is that it's not enough just to execute well. Our clients are looking for a trusted partner that can really help them come up with strategies for today's complex environment. And developing that strategy and then providing a clear and compelling approach that you can actually help execute is a really important part of it. I hear all the time from my clients that consultants who give them ideas without the ability to execute on those ideas, who don't want to get their hands dirty, they just end up giving them unworkable strategies that never end up making it to market. At the same time, if all you can do is execute, you may spend a lot of time and energy executing on the wrong thing because you weren't asking the right questions. I'm really proud that our team excels at that combination of the strategy and the execution. And I think that's what you need today. And when I look at the recognition we've got and I look at the recognition that peers of ours get, I find that that is one of the core threads that goes through it. It wasn't just the ability to execute and make something that looks pretty or make something that works well, but it's also the strategy of coming up with the right idea, the right tactic that is going to fit into the plan, that's going to move the needle, and then execute well on that tactic. So if you're looking for opportunities to get that recognition, I think that's really it. And for clients that want that recognition, I think finding a trusted partner that can be along the journey from strategy to execution is really key.
Absolutely. Okay, so just again, moving on a little bit now, but it's sort of on the same topic as well. Social drivers work on advocacy projects like the Kennedy Forums, mental health policy, microsites is really impressive. And I have to say, I really love that you guys really do care about social justice stuff as well. And you really, really put yourself forward in that, right? So I'm wondering, for agencies that are looking to add more purpose-driven projects, how do you balance the social impact of your business growth with the unique benefits that it has brought?
Well, we live in a world right now that people are looking to make an impact. And so there's just natural business growth. If you can help an organization make an impact in the world, that's a trend. I can say, let me just say first, from the social driver standpoint, we work on all different types of projects with all different types of clients, and we want to help those clients achieve their missions. But we have our own mission to make the world a better place. And so several years ago, we launched the Driver Foundation, and that's our philanthropic commitment. 1% of our top line revenue, not our profit, our top line revenue, 1%, we donate every year to the Driver Foundation so that we can contribute that to charitable causes. And the number one cause that we focus on right now is the Trevor Project, which is an amazing nonprofit that helps LGBTQ youth in crisis. They started as a suicide hotline. Now they've expanded chat, text, advocacy, research. And my husband, Thomas, our CEO, has been involved for a very long time as a board member, was just elected chair of the board. And, so I think the social impact piece, any business, even if you're a small business like us, you can make a difference in your community. You can have a philanthropic effort. And it involves volunteerism from our team, and they get to give micro grants and so much more. But when it comes to our clients, I think the fact that we have made social impact part of our mission as a company, we attract organizations that want to make a difference in the world. So you mentioned the Kennedy Forum. This is an incredible organization that former Congressman Patrick J. Kennedy created to focus on mental health and substance use disorders. we are so proud that together with them and our other agency partner, Pixis partners who we worked with, we won a READ Award for that website. And I'll just tell you a little bit about that. So we all know, I mean, mental health, substance use disorders, it affects every single one of us, if not directly, indirectly, by just one degree of separation. Policymakers who are on Capitol Hill and in the White House, they have a pretty small team to help advise them on how to make policy that's going to address such intractable challenges. So creating a resource to help them quickly and easily navigate policies that are endorsed by scientific, but the scientific and research communities and that are evidence-based, that makes a huge difference. So we had a chance to work with the Kennedy Forum to take the research that they and Pixis put together about hundreds of policies that could actually make a difference, organized by what committee you are working on in the Senate and the House, or what office in the White House, and then to organize all that information to make it really easily accessible. And it has made such a huge impact in how policymakers are addressing these challenges that really impact all of us. So I'd say for us, collaborating with clients that have those big, audacious goals that they don't know necessarily how to achieve through a technology or design standpoint, but we can partner with them on that. That's so critical. But then also for us, we have to collaborate with other partners who specialize in this case, research, health equity, and policy. And that's where we were able to work with Pixis partners on that side of it. There's no shortage of big challenges in the world right now, but there are a lot of incredible companies and organizations that are working to address them. And anytime we get to be part of something like that to help them move the needle, I mean, it lights up our team. They are just so energized by it. We are so happy to be part of it in that way. And this extends to our work with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation on veteran caregivers, Face the Fight, to try to address the challenge of veteran suicide. These are all big issues that we should all care about. And how incredible and fortunate are we as a company that we get to be a small part of some of these big initiatives so that we can make the world a better place.
That is beautiful. Thank you, Anthony. That is really, really amazing. So, Anthony, with social drivers, really big growth and numerous accolades, I wonder, what are the 3 really critical qualities that brands should consider when they're choosing an agency partner in today's market? I mean, are there some things that they need to be careful of or aware of? I'm just wondering, what is your advice for potential clients busy agency hunting right now?
Yeah, you bet. Well, you're right. We've been fortunate to grow a lot. We started as just Thomas and me, after the GW new venture competition. And we have a team of about 60 people now. We work with over a dozen Fortune 100 companies, as well as some of the most trusted nonprofit brands out there in the world. It's been a really incredible journey. And for folks who are looking for a great partner, I have to think that they're probably looking at the same qualities that we're looking at when we want to work with a client or when we want to work with another agency partner on a project. This last summer, everybody was talking about BRaT summer. Our CEO, Thomas, he had this great line he used recently at a roundtable event that we were at together. He said, when we think about BRaT, we should really be thinking about this new BRaT, which is brand, reputation, and trust. And I loved that. I thought that was so fun. But I really think those are the 3 things that all of us are looking for in partners, namely trust. Who can we trust to help us navigate in a fast changing environment? Because you can put a 12-month plan together, but the world's not going to stay the same for 12 months, right? And then who can help us execute that plan? Not just come up with the ideas, but help us bring it to the finish line and work alongside us to do that. That's what our clients are looking for. That's what we're looking for when we bring a partner in on a project to work alongside us. And it means we have to know what the tried and true strategies are, but we also have to keep abreast of trends in digital platforms and technology innovation and in cultural shifts. So trust would really be my 3, or we could say brand, reputation, and trust. But I mean, trust is the big one. And I love that, DesignRush is one of the ways that folks can go out there and see, well, do people trust this partner? What have they said about it? And we always love it when we find a new client, they've done online research, we've never worked with them before, And they come to us and they know a little bit about us because they've seen what other clients have said about their partnership with us. And of course, they can see the examples of our work on DesignRush and on our own website at socialdriver.com. Trust is what we're all looking for right now.
I wonder, what is the one skill, Anthony, that you believe that agency founders absolutely have to develop to scale their team effectively while staying agile in this crazy changing industry that we're all in?
Well, obviously there are a lot of different things that we could talk about when it comes to, scaling your agency and what are the things that you have to do. But I think even though you have to get a lot of things right, probably the most important one is persistence. You have to keep pushing forward, even when there are internal or external challenges and obstacles. You have to learn from those. The only thing any of us can control is our own behavior and how we react. So keeping a really positive attitude and just moving forward is essential. And I've been so lucky that I've had mentors, friends, partners over the years who have just built incredible businesses and incredible client partnerships I've been able to look up to. Carrie Hatch, who founded MDB. Well, actually, she didn't found it, but she took it over really early on and was the CEO of MDB Communications in DC, is somebody that I looked up to for her grit and her persistence and the deep relationships she built. Dave Emery, another friend of mine who founded a business called Emery, which has just been an incredible organization and has grown over the years. I've watched them, and when I've seen them and others like them, that grit and persistence is one of the things that really stands out for me.
Yeah, 100%. Money can't buy grit. That's the one thing is it's so important, especially, yes, in this industry that keeps changing. Yeah, it'll help you through a lot of stuff for sure. Okay, so Anthony, I just have one more question that I want to ask you before we wrap up today. So, as an industry leader and a mentor, of course, what is your biggest piece of advice for CEOs looking to also inspire their high-performing team like you have done, you and Thomas, really? And how has this really influenced Social Driver's trajectory over the years, do you think?
Yeah, it's such a great question. How do you inspire and scale your team? Because it's all about your team. I mean, when you put people at the center, who are those people? It's your teammates, it's your colleagues. So, Thomas and I co-founded the company. I serve as our chief strategy officer. He's our CEO. So I really had the privilege of working alongside a CEO who I know very well because he's my husband for the last 14 years that we've worked together, and we've married for 12. And I've been able to watch what he's done and how he has built a team, because that's really, he's the one who has focused on that. And number one, he trusts his team members, his colleagues, and he gives them opportunities to grow. Thomas's first ever executive assistant, Paige, she's now that head of creative services who I mentioned, who took the selfie in Times Square. She's been with us for more than a decade. She's been in a ton of different roles. And she now leads that entire area of our business. And I've just seen how Thomas has mentored her, but also trusted her and listened to her and let her influence and lead him in areas, because she brings so much of her own expertise to the work that we do. I've also watched Thomas make decisions deliberatively rather than impulsively. He takes his time. He gets input from others. He makes sure that people know the direction that we're going in, and he really communicates that transparently. But then, he doesn't rush things. And I think that that's a really important leadership quality. And, to be honest, it's something that I have a lot to learn from. And so I've really had the opportunity to watch him do that and realize, that's the right way of doing things. Both of those qualities come down to, putting people at the center. And, Thomas and I have super different backgrounds. He's a technology person. I'm more of a communications person. We have very different experiences and approaches to certain things. But when it comes down to those core values, putting people at the center being one of the top ones, we're super aligned. And I think that, if you're trying to inspire and scale a high-performing team, you need to identify what your own values are. You need to make sure that everybody's aware of those. And then you need to trust those people. You need to inspire those people by giving them the opportunity to grow. And that means failing sometimes, of course, which happens in life, and learning from those failures, as we all do. And then make sure that that you're, taking your time in terms of your decisions. I think that's another thing that, like I said, that I've learned from him. And I've just been so fortunate. Everybody says, how do you work with your husband? Isn't that, insane? And I mean, look, in anything you do in life, there's always ups and downs. But overall, I have just I felt so privileged that I get to watch Thomas shine in these challenging moments. And I just feel this level of pride to see what he's done, and that what we've done together, of course, as well, but pride in his successes that I probably would never get a chance to feel if we didn't work together. So it's been pretty cool having a family-owned business in that sense of things.
No, that's beautiful. I think, not a lot of couples can work together, right? And that's just what it is. But the thing is, I think if you have a partnership like that, a real true like business partnership and a partnership at home as well, and it works, it really, really works. And it's amazing that you guys are doing what you're doing, and especially with all the incredible initiatives that you guys are behind, and the good that you're doing with that work as well. So Anthony, that is all I have for you today. And thank you so much for sitting down with us. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. This has been super insightful.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you. Thanks for the great work you're doing to highlight different agency leaders, and of course to create a platform for us to showcase our work and to showcase the positive experiences our clients have.
Curious about what top brands look for when choosing an agency? Tune in to our latest episodes where we reveal the decision-making secrets of leading brands. Subscribe to the DesignRush podcast and stay ahead of the competition.